I could be here all night. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's all she wants. This 25 horse tractor to dig out. Ouch, that hurt my back. Yes! Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I've had zero trouble with this tractor, guys. I've had it for just over. Welcome to the Okie Woodsman channel. Have you ever wondered if a backhoe is worth spending the money on? They are a major investment. Adding it to this tractor probably costs somewhere around $8,000 to $9,000 once you add in all the extras you need to add. You want to keep that in mind, but a lot of people would say, well, if you just need to dig, just go rent a mini excavator when you know you need to dig. Well, the problem is when you're developing a property, you never quite know at what point you're going to be where you're going to need to dig. Does that make any sense to you? If we would have had to rent an excavator to get this stump out, I would have had to have known that I was going to cut this tree this weekend. Things like wind, time, other factors, personal life, and all of that all come into play of whether or not I was going to be able to fell this tree. Now that this tree is cut, the very next day, my wife and I can get this stump out because this stump is very important to all of the construction that we are doing on our property. And you guys have heard about a shop, you've heard about a garage and all that. There's even more. This is the biggest construction job that we've ever taken on. Our house was a darn big one, but this is even bigger. Now, to make things more complicated, there is fiber and power running up here to the pole up in the distance. You might be wondering where the locates are. There's not going to be any locates because where I live, my meter's at the pole and I have secondary power all the way to my house. When I call in for locates, they're not going to locate secondary power. What would be located would be the fiber. Now, we have a picture record of where that fiber is in the ditch. And I also know that this tree was here, so I can reference that and I can see the ditch here. And when we start digging, if we start seeing screenings, we know we're getting close. Now, from the picture record, my conduit is closer to the tree and the fiber is on this side. My water's in the same ditch up until about here, and it goes that way. I purchased this for small digging tasks and stump removal. So today it's going to be used exactly the way I intended it on. Now, when I fell this tree, some people might be wondering, why did you cut it so high? Well, it's just simply so I can have enough leverage to pull or push on. I'm going to try to excavate this side deep, that side deep, and that side deep, and I'm hoping that I might be able to push this stump this way with the tractor because all of the roots on this side are pretty much cut off from when I trenched this. Now, the other thing is I wondered if this tree was going to die, and it stayed good and healthy until we cut it down. Let's get started. Since I don't dig all the time, it's going to take a moment for me to get the feel of the controls. And this ground is hard, you can tell. So that tree right there is this tree. And these are the lines that go straight up through there. So you can kind of see, look how close we were to the tree. And you can see the water and the power and the fiber split somewhere up in there. So we should be staying away from that, no problem at all. The ground feels hard, honey. There's root one. Can I dig from right there?
That's it.
That's it? We're digging through the root, people. I wanted to move myself. Right there's okay? I'm gonna dig a little bit more on both sides, and then I'm gonna come and try to dig across the front here. And then we're gonna try to wiggle it. I'm hoping it goes well. Good. Broke another big root. Can't move back up the hill. Could you? Right there's good. What?
This is not gonna do it.
Well, that's part of the video. I dug these so easy with that cat excavator. It was way easier. It's crazy, that little one. But I'm gonna get it. This one will be kind of sucky, but think I'm getting an important answer right now. I've learned a valuable lesson here. Man, it hurts your pride. So when we originally did this work, I did it with a Kubota backhoe. It was an L series, but it was an actual backhoe, okay? So it had stronger hydraulics, a heavier frame, it was a heavier machine. And then I also used a small cat excavator, and I successfully dug out stumps with those. Now I think part of that is maneuverability. I think the boom was probably similar to this. The bucket may have been a little bit narrower, and that could be beneficial. Now, what I'm experiencing here, well, it's kind of giving me PTSD, because underneath here, I had like a double stump that was connected.
The main shaft.
Oh, crud. Oh, crud. Underground in the root system, and I ended up digging all the way around it and burying it, cutting it off and burying it. So there's two stumps under here. Now this right here, I'm gonna come in here and bail out this, try to keep going. Now the thing is, I'm definitely gonna have to scratch back here. So I'm gonna try to dig as close to the stump as much as I can. And then I'm gonna pull up in here. My idea is hopefully to push this over. But the thing is we're not gonna keep you here for that. I will come back in a little bit if I'm successful and show you what happened. I could be here all night. One of my boys just lost a tooth yesterday, and this is a lot like that. I was about to give up, but I think I saw a little bit of hope. Let's see. Let me dig a little bit more. The fact that I can see the stump wiggle a little bit is a good sign. I think I need to reposition the tractor though. Oh yeah! Yes! Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm telling you, I was starting to wonder if this was gonna be like my last one where I had to just bury it. That's a big stinking stump. Now what I gotta do is push it over, and I need to try to dig some dirt off the bottom. This next step is going to be critical. I got to dig some dirt off of the bottom of it. It's interesting, you can see the red clay there below it. I'm really, really happy, or I guess blessed or fortunate, lucky, I don't know, but I'm lucky there's no like taproot that goes straight down. I hadn't experienced that much out here, but I'm telling you, on those last two, there was something that looked like a tree.
The main shaft.
Oh crud. Oh crud. Oh crud. Oh crud. Oh crud. It's turning into something bad. I gotta cover this hole back up. We're getting a bunch of rain. Like, the hole was deeper than this, and it was this big going straight down. Let's see if we can get anything off of this. I'm at full extension on my boom so I can work in front of me rather than down. Ouch. That hurt my back. Ouch. Well, let's keep digging right here. I've kind of already dug a bunch off that side. I kind of need it to roll now. Let's try that again. I kind of need to flip it over. Kind of like a cat playing with a dead mouse or something. You know, they do it for hours. Hopefully this will just be a few minutes. There we go. Let's see if that is good. Yeah. It's getting lighter and lighter by the second, everyone. To be lighter for tractor's sake, but I also want as much dirt as I can put back in the ground. I'm gonna have a hole here. But isn't it interesting sometimes? Sometimes you don't have enough dirt, sometimes you have way more, and even after it compacts, it seems like you got way more too. The wild world of excavation. Okay, let's try to turn it. Let's try to dig on it this way. This might be good. I don't know. Just try to turn it. Rotate it over in the hole. All right, that didn't work. Let's see if we can flip it around over this way. I was actually feeling a little bit unimpressed with the backhoe, but actually as of right now, I'm feeling pretty good. I just want to get the other side up so I can try to dig some off of that. Oh. I'm telling you, it's kind of like a cat playing with the dead mouse. I can pick this up now with my grapple, no problem at all. I mean, the reality is I can pick this up out of the hole with this now. But can I get any more dirt off of it? I think I'm probably okay. Let's see here. Let's flip it back over. All right. Really, honestly, if you want to get better at operating something that digs, a root ball is a really good thing to dig out. It's patience challenging, I'll tell you that. Bunch of rocks in there, but you kind of test your ability, because what you want to do is you always want to just control the ball as much as possible. And we had to dig a lot through these roots. You know, I'm not going to just rip those up, not with this machine. All right, let's see if we can push this over. No, let me see if I can tilt it this way. Yeah, good. Oh, that's a lot of, there's a lot of trunk right there. Right now I can easily get this out of the hole. It's just a matter of getting the dirt off of it. We're gonna have a lot to talk about here about whether or not I think you ought to have a backhoe on this tractor. Ow! Dang, that hurt. Hurting to my family jewels. All right, I think that's it. I think we're gonna roll with that. That's good, plenty. That feels so darn good, everyone. I mean, look at this excavation here. Gosh dang. Oh my gosh. All that for the root ball. Get you every time. From up here, it's kind of hard to see what needs to happen. There we go. Oh, that's all she wants. I can't do any more with it. My tractor was at its limit there. Let's see if we can do a little bit better there. There we go. Beautimous. Now to go get rid of it. That is a lot for this 25 horse tractor to dig out. It really is. As soon as I get rid of this stump, we're gonna have a conversation about whether or not I think this is a good idea on a machine like this. Look at that. I mean, it's about all my tractor wanted. And look at the size of that hole. I know you probably can't tell how big this is, but here I am. That's a big hole in the ground. I have an arrangement with my neighbor. I can get rid of the stumps over there, so I'll be right back. Now let's try to bury this up as best I can. I'm gonna use the rock grapple here. And I am no pro excavator. You know what my favorite part about this whole thing is? I never saw any pipe, orange or gray. I should go get my bucket on, but I'm not going to. It would help if I went into low gear. Testing everything today, kind of seeing the compact rock grapple, the rock bucket part of it in use. I have a feeling I've moved this concrete a couple times. Wow. So let's talk about it. Is the backhoe worth it on this machine? That took about 3 hours of my time of really, I would say, pretty hard work on this piece of equipment. Just the other day, I had 88 hours. I'm at like 93-ish. And that's with doing some grapple work and all of that. Now, a lot of that was just this excavation here. And you can tell we moved a lot of dirt. Okay, there was a ton of dirt that was moved. Now, this sure beats a shovel. There's going to be those kinds of people. However, this is not the most efficient way of digging a lot. Okay, so some of that's going to be because of me as an operator. I am not an operator. I'm not extremely proficient with this setup here, and I can tell you that you are going to tear stuff up if you use a machine like this regularly for this task. Now, with this thumb here, I love that thing. I pick up logs, I've picked up rocks. You know, when I built my pad for my fire pit, it's absolutely phenomenal. A new casualty today was when I was digging along the stump. I hit it along here, but this bracket also got hit. Now, the thing is, that stinks, but the main thing is this holds this hydraulic deal here. And luckily, I didn't whack this because that could have put me dead in the water. I also probably should take these teeth and move them inboard and move these ones outboard, because when you're digging roots or anything, even if you're picking at rocks, this tooth ends up getting used a lot because you can't pull on a root all the way across the bucket because it's just not going to work. Now, what you're doing is you're kind of tearing that root up, and you did probably see remnants of that in the video. I did cut out a lot of digging because it was just monotonous, but that right there, I probably, before replacing these, probably ought to just swap this one with this one if I can. I think I can. And so before replacing these, I probably ought to swap these two teeth and swap these two teeth, because you'll see there's probably very similar wear over there. That'll get me some more life out of them. Another tactic would be just to replace the outsides, but I think I would rather just do that because these middle teeth just basically scratch and claw at the ground. In fact, it would actually almost put an edge back on it as I wear it across flat again. This tractor, I use a ton, guys. I use it for about everything now. Any pallet type needs, you know, for firewood. If you're not a normal viewer of the channel, we do a little bit of firewood there. Do a ton of chainsaw stuff, guys, and we are entering a new chapter or a new stage on the channel. We're going to be very wood and chainsaw oriented. We're going to be diving into those other interests that we've had, and now we're going to be able to do on this property. There's lots of construction that's going to be occurring. Now, I want to talk about another topic. No wonder the Chinese excavators are so popular right now. I mean, it's hard to beat, especially when you factor in those units with a gas engine. Now, those things get tossed around like a toy. They absolutely do. But if you're doing a stump like this every so often, you can get it out. I mean, you're going to be able to do it. These oak stumps have a tendency to come out, in my opinion, a little bit better than the most recent pine stumps. One of the things that I'm kicking around here is I've been getting bids to do all the tree removal up here and to do all the excavation. We have like an 18-inch cut, and we're going to move all that material down there. All right, those bids are kind of coming in. I think I know who I would use because I've worked with the guys before. And now keep in mind, I'm no operator. I was just kind of like the spotter, the guy that watched the ditch to make sure. You know, I did a little bit with the skid steer and an excavator every so often, but I wasn't the guy that did finish grade. I wasn't the guy, you know, I dug utility lines but with an excavator, and that's been some years ago now. But every one of these trees, I would really like to fall them, okay? Like this tree right here, I want to cut it down rather than push it with an excavator. The only thing is if I fall it, I've got to get the stump out. And so the excavation company, local practice around here in rural Oklahoma where I'm at with this type of soil, you saw it. It's not easy digging. Mike at Rusty Garage and Homestead, he has kind of like a sandy type soil. It's a lot different. We don't have any real erosion. We don't ever get soft spots when we've been getting days and days of rain. When we get a horrendous amount of rain, our ground stays good and solid. Taking an excavator, putting the boom right up in that vicinity, driving it forward, popping out all the stumps, that's probably going to be the most efficient way to do this. It really will be. Which is a shame because I love felling trees. I absolutely love it. You know, the stump that we just did, fell that tree yesterday, got another one right over there. My boy's practicing some carving over there. The trees that we're cutting down were either to open up a spot so we could start a burn pile, or it was gonna be ones where I didn't want the excavator, you know, trying to push from that direction over there. I'm not wanting to remove everything on the back side and just have that hazard. This corner is gonna come off of here. Now I'm gonna say this, we're talking about the backhoe, right? That little backhoe right there, in the back of my head, you know, I'm just going to admit it. Well, let's just put it this way. All of this excavation that you see around here, a majority of this, all of this, okay? I dug this all with a Kubota backhoe that I rented in a 1 week time frame. Now, there was a little bit of skid steer work after the fact, you know, just kind of smoothing stuff up. But the biggest, most cuts right here and all along, you know, up in here, all around in here, I did with the backhoe. And you want to know where that fills at? It's all in the foundation of that home. I didn't want a crawl space. That's a topic for another discussion, but that machine is and was heavier duty. It is a dedicated backhoe based on a compact tractor. So, you know, we're talking about whether or not a backhoe on this tractor is worth it. You have to set your expectations accordingly. You're going to see a bunch of videos on YouTube, guys and homesteaders that have used the crud out of these machines. And I want to say that KIOTI even had to do some updating on how they attached and everything, because people, oh yeah, it was back here actually, if I remember correctly. Back here, people were breaking them off. Okay, they were just using them, well, probably like I'm using them, but a lot more regularly, and they were, you know, having problems. Now, KIOTI did issue an update. They have done that. I think it's not a problem anymore. That backhoe does attach on up here. I've actually never removed this backhoe because I currently do not have a desire for PTO-driven attachments. The only thing I would really consider would be like a wood chipper. But the thing is this backhoe serves as my ballast, and my tires are not filled, and I can max out my loader with the grapple, and I have zero stability issues. So this backhoe is a top-notch ballast. It's an expensive ballast, but I do have use for it. One of our favorite things about this backhoe is, like, if my boys and I are going down the road a mile or two, one of them will like to sit back there. I've ridden back there while my wife's driven, and so forth, and that's pretty nice to have an extra seat. And again, you know, that ballast is second to none. It just hangs back off of here so much. Now, of course, you do lose a lot of maneuverability, and a lot of people will say, well, why don't you take it off? It's that ballast thing, guys. It's that ballast thing. And I'll also admit, I'm a little worried about doing it. I've just never done it. You know, new things have a tendency to kind of scare me into submission. It wouldn't look like it by, you know, if you watch the channel, because all of this is something that my wife and I have done with no prior experience, guys. We were city people 6 years ago. Truly, we liked hiking, we liked doing all of that, but this was not our life 6 years ago. We love it. We fell in love with this area. I worked this area when I was a communications, telephone, utility worker, and man, oh man, you know, we purchased it at the right time. And guys, we have so much to talk about now that we are making progress, and it's official. When I say that it's official, we have secured the funds. What that means is we've secured the loan. You know, in the past, we talked about having the money to do projects, and some people probably wondered, like, what are they talking about? They have a really nice place. They have a nice Toyota Tacoma. They have a tractor. They have a lot of chainsaws. Well, there is a big story behind the dream of this house. And my wife and I worked our hind end off. And when I say my wife and I mean it, because my wife's a stay-at-home mom. She makes everything happen within the household. She takes care of my boys, homeschooling them. That's been that way since they were born. And I do not have an extremely high-paying job any longer. So after that long-winded explanation as to how we ended up out here, we got to get back to the backhoe, right? Is the backhoe worth it? It's a pretty expensive thing, and I'll tell you why and why I don't think it's worth it. If you're financing it into the tractor like I did, and in the past we have always tried not to finance things. Again, we'll be talking more about that in the future, but we do not like debt. I did take on debt for everything that's going to be occurring here, and it is a big project. But we did take on debt for this. The channel does take care of this tractor. This is the channel's tractor. So it made sense to get this backhoe then, because I needed a digging machine. I've mentioned a lot of times that my optimal setup would be a skid steer and a mini excavator. The problem is if you price out a small Cat or Kubota, Bobcat, anything like that, you know, you can easily be in excess of $100,000, and that's for kind of smaller equipment. Now they're going to be way better at doing almost everything that this does, with one huge exception. Well, the biggest exception is that they're expensive, right? But the other exception is that this is one unit, one thing to maintain, and I'm able to drive this tractor down the road 2 miles, have a grapple, have a backhoe, have a second seat, have my chainsaw mounted on there, my other accessories, and do it at, this one's a little bit slower. It's 14 miles an hour, I think. But a skid steer doesn't road that well. A mini excavator does not move quickly. You have got to truck and trailer that stuff if you want to get anywhere. Now at the excavation company, we did periodically have to take a machine down the asphalt quite a ways, but it's a very long, tedious task. Even across a large property, sometimes you're wondering, man, should we just throw this on the trailer? You know, rabbit mode on a mini excavator is miserable, but you're not gonna beat its digging ability. If you have small tasks periodically that need to be done, you're going to have a tractor, or you already have a tractor, the backhoe can be a very good solution, because you're not buying an additional diesel engine. You know, it runs off of this awesome KIOTI setup here. I've had zero trouble with this tractor, guys. I've had it for just over a year, and there's been nothing wrong with it at all. I did my 50-hour maintenance myself, changed the hydraulic fluid. We have videos on that, and I couldn't be happier with this. I'd be lying if I didn't admit that I was getting discouraged during this stump. I didn't think that the stump was going to come out, but ultimately it did. It just takes persistence, but there are times where you can have all the persistence in the world and it's not going to work out, but today it did. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'd love to hear your comments about your experience with backhoes versus mini excavators. If you're on the lookout for buying something, again, I've mentioned earlier that no wonder Chinese excavators are so darn popular, especially those, you know, $5,000 to $7,000 machines that run off of a gas engine. You know, you can do a lot with that, you know, as far as digging utility lines. Now, this stump probably would have been, I'm not going to say you couldn't do it, but it could have taken easily twice as long. You know, they're just so darn light. But as soon as you get into like a 2-ton excavator or a 3-ton, 4-ton, something like that, you can just get so much done. You know, they're good and stable. You can pivot that station. You can, you know, you have the blade. You can push material back in the hole. They just work so well. It's been a long day. We felled some trees, got that all cleaned up. It's heartbreaking to have to cut our beautiful pines down and all this other timber, but it's gonna be for the better. Thanks for watching the Okie Woodsman channel, and we will see you on the next one.